Hello and welcome to TechP What's the What? I am Jeff McKinney, also known to some as TechP. That's short for the Techpreneur for the People. And TechP What's the What is a production of One2Gration Media. We'll talk more about what that is, where we actually come up and really just have fun to show our purpose and who we are. And for me, um, this platform or this show represents a space where I can come and freely speak about my pursuit of healing. Today we are being joined by Mamaste Slang, which is also my lovely wife. We're also being joined by Alaina Huffman, who is not my lovely wife. She is Alaina Huffman, and she'll tell you all about her in just a moment. But she's got a resume that is probably worth her telling you more about than me. Um, Alaina, remind me to tell everyone a cool, interesting fact about that. And by one of my dearest friends and colleagues. He typed in Yogesh Patel, his full name, because that's Yogi, but he goes by Yogi. He also is the founder and host of the YoggNation Spirit of Gratitude podcast. Welcome to TechP What's the What, everyone.
Hey.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
All right, so first off, how's my audio? I know you guys told me that I couldn't move a square inch because something was clicking. Yogi,
It's,
are we
it's all
thoroughly in place? No clicking?
Yes, there was a little bit of clicking early on, but we can move forward. That's fine.
Okay, all right. So please forgive the clicking. It's not because of any of them. It is, I don't know where it's coming from. We've had some audio issues, but there's a spirit around that's trying to keep me from being great. It's been happening for about 5 years now, and so we're gonna just keep going forward. I do want to first, before we jump in, I want to congratulate Cameron and Alaina on a wonderful second episode of Hey Girl.
hey
Hey,
girl.
girl.
Well, I don't really feel comfortable saying that, so I got to get
Please don't.
I got to get used. I shouldn't get used to it, is what you guys are saying. And so I want to jump in first with you, Cameron. You know, you and I, we met in 2005. We'll tell the story of where we met, probably on the Mick Mick show one day, or maybe here. It
Yeah, we're
wasn't in
gonna
the
keep it
tradition.
PG today.
Yeah, we'll keep it PG today. But I remember as we were creating Hey Girl, you would offer up these different things about it, and you were really, really particular. What does it feel like now, looking back with what you have? I know you don't look at it as an accomplishment. I do. I'm really proud of your work. Um, Talk to us a little bit about Hey Girl and how it got to this place and how you feel about it.
So, Hey Girl is a voice for women and men, hosted by women. And I mean, it's just a place where anyone can come and be themselves. It's about being vulnerable, it's about being open, having the awareness that we need to share everything everything that we are allowed to in a open setting where people are understanding and willing to hear um, what you have to say. And it's just for me, when we have people on the show, it's just a way of practicing the gratitude and the vulnerability that we all need to kind of go through life and live out these different emotions that we're having and that we experience every day, but we're living them out on in person in front of people. And so that's kind of what Hey Girl is about. It's just an invitation to come and be yourself.
Well, I'll say I have firsthand experience that she's actually walking that walk of allowing people to have these emotions. Um, she's here with me all the time, and she's seen me from tears to anger to depression to anxiety to panic attacks and all kinds of things. And I could uh, see how one would be like, I am done dealing with this weight, and I'm really really grateful to God that He gave me a partner that could actually hang in and ride alongside of whatever it is he has going on, because it hasn't been easy, and so but he's always shown up, and so I'd like to turn real quick to Alaina Huffman. Alaina, I'll first, if you would give a bit of an introduction, and I'll drop that tidbit first. So um, I had no idea who Alaina was before we met. I've met her as a person. I don't know that I've ever seen longer than a minute or two clip of knowingly. I'm sure I watched a movie with you in it before or a show, but I didn't know.
Mm.
So tell everyone about your body of work, who you are, and we'll get into kind of what brings you to One2Gration here in just a moment.
Yeah, so I'm an actor, professional pretender, artist, I guess is sort of the overall term. And I've just lived my whole life as an artist. I've been fortunate enough to been able to raise my children as an artist, and I don't know. I think it's just a way of life. And as I mentor younger people as they're coming up into this business, I think really the idea you have to have is like how to live your life as an artist. There's no arrival, like there's no completion date. And that's sort of my thought always. Like even when I'm frustrated, I'm like, Judi Dench is still working, Pacino's still working, Meryl Streep is still working. Like there's always stories to be told. And so if I can be a character in those stories, a literal character in those stories, I always feel really grateful. I especially feel grateful maturing as an actor. The characters that I get to play, I feel are so much more round and like full and have so much life experience as I do as a more mature woman. But also, oftentimes, I'm one of the older people on sets. And so it's kind of a great opportunity to mentor and to um, you know, be a part of like the next generation of artists. So yeah, you can see me. Got shows all over the place, but one that I'm really known for is Supernatural. We've got this like big global cult following that I'm incredibly grateful for, and it's this big, beautiful family.
And coming up September, October.
I got a movie coming out called Waltzing with Brando. Billy Zane plays Marlon Brando. Richard Dreyfuss is in the movie. Myself, John Heater. Yeah, it's going to be in
Cool.
theaters in September.
Fantastic. So we'll get
Watch
around.
party. Yeah.
Watch
Yeah,
party for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. If
it's a date night.
you guys know I'm severe ADHD, so honey, if you could remember to help me go back and circle back to Alaina about the crazy story of how this all happened and why, but I want to get to Yogi as well. So, um, Yogi, I'll let you just tell whatever it is that you feel is relevant, and I'll add on the pieces here. Yogi, would you please introduce yourself to whoever is watching this, the community of One2Gration and humanity at large?
I love that. Humanity at large. My name is Yogesh Patel. I go by Yogi. I've been a technology executive for the past 25 years, then made the leap into podcasting a year ago. As Jeff had mentioned before, I have a podcast called YoggNation, the Spirit of Gratitude. And YoggNation is spelled with two G's. The second G could either be meant for gratitude or gangsta. And like I like the latter since I'm a Snoop
You're a
Dogg guy.
gratitude gangster.
Nothing but a G thing, man. Tell us about that. You redefined that as well. Share that, Yogi.
Nothing but
Elena,
a
I love
gratitude
that
thing.
gratitude gangster.
You're a
Yes,
Exactly.
gratitude
yes,
Yes.
gangster.
yes. And so Yogi has played always like this centering role, where he just pops up over a span of 16 years or so. Um, and just offering this calming space in the middle of whatever chaos or whatever quietness may be happening. It's always better when the flow is inserted with a little bit of gratitude in YoggNation. So we'll talk a bit about where that came from and how it happened.
I
Um,
think the calmness, though, Jeff, comes from my voice and kind of my long nose that gives me that calm voice. So,
It's just
another
a purely
interesting fact about
technical
Yogi.
thing.
Hey, another interesting fact about Yogi is that he can take a nap, a power nap, almost on command.
yeah.
Me too. I think that means our soul is tired.
So I want to jump back over to Alaina really quick. So for everyone out there, TechP, what's the what? TechP for me is the risen version of kind of Jeff. I went through a whole thing. Everybody's gone through something, and we only get to determine how we respond to it. And so I didn't really know where I was going. I just knew that I was listening to the right source. And so as I was listening to the right source and I was trying to, basically walk in faith, not really understanding really clearly what it was I was being called to do, further on in the process, I stumbled upon this new lady at the gym with the crown tattoo. With the crown tattoo. Very, very brief exchange. And she said, "Yeah, this is Basquiat." And I'm like, "Oh, there's something here." And she also said, really, really fast, like, "I'm into strayer art." And so, I didn't want to be the creepy guy.
Classic.
Yeah, I didn't want to be the creepy guy in the gym. So I was just like, "All right, cool. I'll see you around." And so I immediately went to my phone. I think I may probably text Cameron later on, say I met this really cool girl in the gym. She had this crown tattoo. And then later on, I went to go search strayer art. I could not find this anywhere. I called up, for those of you who know Jamal Sheets, who's an artist and gallery curator friend of mine. I called him up and he didn't know what the hell strayer art was either. So I just sat on it. I said, well, maybe I'll see her again. And so, Alaina, I'll let you pick up the story and kind of tell a bit about that from there.
Yeah, so Jeff comes up to me a few days later and he's like, I have to ask you something. I said, I collect street art. And he heard street art or something like this. And I was like, what? And you're like, I couldn't find it anywhere. So then I was like, oh no, I collect street art. So I travel a lot and I only take a duffel bag. I think my luggage got lost one time when I was like 19 years old, traveling around Europe. And do what you do. My daughter's a gymnast and she wanted to go to Fisk and you go to Fisk. And we just like, it was all this synergy that I'm like, oh, it's so crazy how you can meet somebody and you're just on the same wavelength in so many ways. And then like one of the first things he said, he's like, you gotta meet my wife. And then we started talking about Hey Girl. And it was like all this like synergistic stuff. So
But what really threw me for a loop was this was the second time that we ran into each other. We don't know each other from anybody. And the thing of like the strayer art, I think that really like opened up this funny moment for us. And so, but then when she said, "Oh yeah, we moved here because my daughter's a gymnast," and I said, "Oh really?" And so she doesn't know anything about me, and she's talking to me about gymnastics, which I don't really look like I know much about gymnastics, which I really don't. I just have an interest in certain things that involve gymnastics. And then she says, "Shout out Fisk University. If you're out there, you should be out there. This is a true testament to the validity of our program." She says, "Yeah, my daughter wants to go to Fisk." And I'm like, "Really?" And so I'm thinking in my mind, like, I don't have a Fisk hat on. How is she making this connection? And so I asked her, I was like, why are you saying this to me? And she's like, you never heard of this program? They're absolutely fantastic. I'm like, no, I have heard about them. And so I pull out my phone and I show her content that we've created with our NIL athletes, Liberty Mora and Aaliyah Reed Hammond. And there you have it. The conversation starts flowing, and we start talking about Cameron's project with Hey Girl. And Hey Girl was in a stack of things, by the way. And so she looks at it and she goes, hey, what about this Hey Girl? I'm like, I told you, you got to meet Cameron. And so, Cameron, you didn't touch on this earlier. Um, this started out how and where what do you feel about it now, seeing it grow to this point?
So, Hey Girl kind of popped up out of just a discussion at the time. I was working with a lady about my brand Ergo Ease, and we were kind of working in conjunction. And we just kind of like one day we were like, why don't we start a podcast? And we kind of came up with the name, and we did a few podcasts with some women, and then things changed, life changed. Hey Girl kind of went on the back burner, and then as Alaina came into the picture, and this was like a year later, it kind of just and it got picked back up. What is going on?
And so we went through a process of actually revamping the production on it, and it was ready for Elena to see kind of this new version of Hey Girl right at the point where we were working on kicking it off. And so I thought it was perfect timing. And Elena, she helped me see in talking through this uh, pieces of myself that I didn't I wasn't able to identify. Like she said, after a few conversations, she said, you're a producer, right? And I was like, no, no, I didn't. I never worked with producers. And so, there's a lot of value and a lot of things that, she as an artist and a creative is helping me kind of discover with One2Gration Media and things that she's going to contribute to. Yogi, YoggNation,
Yes, sir.
how and why and where did that come from?
So it actually began when my youngest daughter, Riani, had Tourette's, or she still has Tourette's. But the bullying that she endured when she was in middle school, where the kids, perhaps not knowing any better, name calling, talking behind her back, middle school kids yanking her hair. I don't know why they do that. But throughout this adversity, where she faced, and we would get calls every day from the nurse. It's like, Rihanna's been bullied, can you pick her up? And she'd go emotional, and sometimes we'd pick her up, and sometimes we'd say, gut it out, you only have 2 hours left in the day. And so throughout all this adversity that she had, again in middle school in 7th and 8th grade, that resolve, I guess, that inner spirit that she had, led her to write 2 books about bullying and Tourette's. The second being uh, a Amazon bestseller, or #1 release on Amazon when it first came out, called The Terrible Bullies. Again, this was her second book. So she was a nationally recognized published author. And a few years later, she worked at the Ritz-Carlton here down in Arizona. So it got me thinking, and we had the idea to write a third book, but I think we had writer's block. But it kind of gave me the idea where, in spite of this person's challenges growing up in life, and granted she's our daughter, the character that she developed, the resiliency she developed, that inner drive and inner spirit led her to, I'm not going to say ignore the bullying, but all of that adversity that she had faced growing up led her to become accomplished in these 2 endeavors. And what made the podcast really come to life, Jeff, the genesis of it was actually when I was on a business trip and we had dinner together. And I had mentioned to Jeff that, well, Riani is only young for a certain period of time. She's only marketable up until the age of 20 or, perhaps 21. And then Jeff kind of, had shed the light on me. It's like, well, if you're passionate about it, why don't you take over? And like, that's interesting. And so at that moment, I started to think about how is this going to look if I do this? And through a lot of encouragement through Jeff and some soul searching, YoggNation was born last year. The first podcast release was August 15th of 2024, um, focusing on bullying, self-awareness, and our inner spirit, inviting high-profile guests to share their experiences on these topics. And when I say high profile, it also means people in the public eye. And so it's been a very purposeful journey. It's an episode release a week. And one of the key, I think, successes of the podcast is the diversity of guests that I have, in the sense of they're of a different age, profession, background, and culture. Because one thing I've learned about podcasting is that the listener has to relate to either the guest or the host to establish that credibility and trust. And hopefully, after 46 episodes, that I am slowly starting to build and gain credibility. And the podcast, finally is it's on both streaming and social media platforms, and that's something that I haven't seen much gratitude podcasts do. So I think I'm unique in that perspective. So you can find me on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeart, and in addition to the social media, it's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Each episode is around 30-ish minutes, and I work with a video production company in Phoenix, Arizona, to actually bring this podcast vision to life in terms of not only the 30-minute full episode, but also it's this digestible reels, these YouTube shorts that they help produce. So whereas a person, perhaps as they're winding down the day down and they're scrolling through their phones, and I'm guilty of that myself, they'll happen to take some good messaging away from the reel of that guest for that week.
Yogi, I have a question for you.
Yes.
In one of your podcasts, you gave an analogy about Michael Jackson and the Man in the Mirror, and like why that song was important to you. Can you kind of explain and touch on that?
Yeah, great question. I think it goes back to why I started the podcast. Again, I just want to be able to promote good messaging out there for the listener to hear some powerful stories about overcoming adversity, whether it is bullying or fighting their own inner demons. And the inner demons is personal for me because I've had a lot of inner demons growing up. And I look at that song, Man in the Mirror, to help me realize and understand that the world isn't going to change. I have to change for myself and be the energy I want to project in the world. So I hope that answers your question.
It does. And then at the beginning of your podcast, you have this saying, it's like how adversity
Shapes us.
shapes us and gratitude lifts us. I love
Yes.
that because adversity definitely shapes who we are, but gratitude also shapes who we are by us being thankful for the things that we have adversity to. I mean, if we don't have adversity, we have nothing to look forward to be grateful for if we're not faced with some type of adversity, in life. So I like that, what you say at the top of your podcast.
Thank you. And I think the other side of that coin, Cameron, is, to
Mhm.
me, gratitude is means survival.
Yes.
Gratitude means survival in the sense that,
Mhm.
as unfair, as unjust, as unkind as the world is, I mean, there's so much suffering going on in this world. And um, I'm so glad to shout out One2Gration on every introduction, just because Jeff was talking about his vision of the platform and people suffering in silence, and having that it's I always, and I think, Jeff, you coined it when we spoke, it's the Netflix of purpose. And so I want to be able to identify with organizations that have purpose in them. And
Mhm.
kind of going back to people suffering, it's just we're grateful for many things. We may not realize it. We may need another person to remind us of the things that of the gifts that we do have, rather
Yes.
than focus on the ugliness that could consume our life at times. Whether that's
You know,
emotional, financial, that's huge, right?
Yeah.
Physical,
Yeah.
or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know, for me, you know, it feels like we're talking around what I feel like was missing. And the reason why, like, one integration was something that I had to do no matter what. So many people uh, did not get, do not get what it is this is at this point. There are more people today, of course, that get it. But when I started it 5 years ago, I don't know if I really got it at all. But what I did know was that I felt alone,
Mm.
and that there were people who said that they loved me, they cared about me, they called me everything from uh, uh, coworker to this is my work buddy to this is my brother, whatever they called me. But still, people from different places they didn't show up when I could even look at myself and say, "Man, something is going on." Um, and so for me, I was like, okay, I can be super, super sour and hard in my heart because of this, or I could elevate above it and just lean not to my own understanding and then say, well, God must have given me a solution oriented guy or Yogi, you know this, we've worked professionally together. Like I'm about building solutions. I'm not about
Hmm.
making excuses or complaints. Like if I see a problem, I'm going to point it out with a solution.
Right.
And so I heard Chadwick Boseman speak, and he said that we were given these experiences, work related or personal related, to prepare us for our purpose or to be able to like pursue our purpose. And so I said, well, I must have been given this because I'm the guy to actually change it. And
Mm.
and for me, isolation, like it drove me, a person who thinks really, really highly of myself, to consider like what would the world be without me? And that was like really intriguing. Like, how
Mm.
could everyone universally perceive that Jeff is like this really super competent person? But in this uh time frame, I'm like contemplating, man, what if I wasn't here? Like this, like people are like ignoring me, like people don't see me. And then I went through the therapy and kind of figured that out, and it really, really showed me at that point that community was the way. Like
Mm.
what we're doing right now, this is about
Yeah.
showing and demonstrating who we are, the resilience, and how we don't uh overcome with a chip on our shoulder. We overcome with a solution and a pathway for others to actually join us in overcoming. And so, one of the questions, follow-up questions I have, I want to direct it towards Elena, because she arrived and she chose. And so, I think Yogi, you went and you did what you did, and it kind of aligned. Cameron, she's my wife, so she like, you know, gave me some sympathy points, and now we're here. But Elena, you chose, like, why? What was it about what you saw, and why would this work for someone that envisioned a very bright future for themselves?
Hey girl, or podcasts, or talking. What
Just,
what part of it? All of it.
just, I mean, like, you and I have been struggling to figure out like what it is
Mm.
that encompasses what you do at One Integration. Hey Girl is
Mm.
a big part of it. That's just where we started.
Yeah.
But there's like your fan experience that we're
Mm.
working on. We're
Mm.
working on doing like physical
Mm.
activations where you and Cameron are doing Hey Girl in person. We have the Promises Kept festival that we're envisioning. Like there's all of these things. And so like, why would you stop to pause and say, yeah, I'm all in with doing that with One Integration and Cameron and Yogi and that whole crew?
I think for me, like it's just saying yes and leaning in. But overall, I'm a storyteller. And we were talking about this the other day, Jeff. Like growing up, we had like we had one voice, right? We had Oprah, which was a great voice. But
Mm.
now everybody's got these opportunities. We all have the world at the end of our little portal, and we can reach a lot of people. And it might not be, the masses. It might be the five people or the Jeff in your community that you're like, yo, something's not right
Mm.
here. And I think that that's so important. Like one of the greatest storytellers ever was Jesus Christ, and like would tell stories through parables. And you could like take the story at face value, or you could like really like, you got to be like, yo, what did you mean by that? And you got to lean in to find that. I remember years ago being at a film market, and the question was asked of Bob Burney, who was a buyer of films at the time. And that year he bought Whale Rider, he bought My Big Fat Greek Wedding, Memento, like these
Mm.
really big hitters. And someone asked him, what is your process for buying movies? And he goes, it's really simple. I want to take people to a place they've never been and show them something they can relate to. And that's what One2Gration is for me. Everything you speak about, Jeff, is like, oh, that's all of us. We're all a part of this human experience, and we have similar, if not the same, challenges, experiences. They might come at different phases in our life, and I just think it's really important to tell our stories.
I think you just
Yogi,
paid a
oh,
really big compliment that I don't really get. And so we need to talk offline about what it is you just said so that I understand that. But Cameron, go ahead. You had a question for Yogi.
yeah. Yeah. So I was watching your podcast today with Judge Lynn Toller. I
Yes.
loved it. I absolutely
Mhm.
loved it. And
Thank
one
you.
thing that was said in the podcast, it was like purpose is uncomfortable. And I
Mhm.
think all of us here, me included, we've had to make certain pivots to follow our purpose, whatever that dream may
Hmm.
be for us. And it's not necessarily comfortable or what we want to do, but it's kind of like something that's pushed us in that direction. So, do you feel like that about like move transitioning from like corporate to doing this podcast? Like, has it been always comfortable for you to follow your dreams with
Not
this?
at all. You remind me, Cameron, of the sacrifices we make for to achieve our purpose.
Yeah.
And um, purpose doesn't pay the bills, right? I've I haven't seen a W-2 in
Right.
14 months. I actually took some time off work back in April of 2024 to set the foundational elements of the podcast and take some time off the professional grind of technology sales. And so thinking that I would get back into the uh, working world in late October, late September, but then my mom passed away in August. And
Mm,
so, taking care of dad, who is now 86. And so life just happens. And,
yeah.
again, the purpose is, probably took more of a front seat than, and thankfully I was able to live off of savings. And that's something I talked about in one of the episodes with Keith Fitzgerald, who's like done 3,000 media interviews. He's a regular on CNBC and Fox Business, and I proposed the theory that the future you is grateful of the things that you've done to make right decisions for you and your family over time, if that
Right.
makes sense.
Yes.
It-
So,
Yogi, you're a star. Um, like you are a star. Like I show your work often, and people like today, the conversation before you joined, they said Yogi's an amazing listener.
Mhm.
And so, I just,
well,
my prayer, my hope, the thing that I always want to shower on you is show yourself more grace. Um, what you just said about the future you appreciating the previous version that show resilience, is
Yes.
spot on.
Mhm.
There's a light that's always been there. Not everyone has that light. And so that's what we're trying to do or what I'm trying to do in the work, and what I perceive that you all are trying to do or working towards. We're not trying, we're doing it actually. We are showing a light as a demonstration and welcoming others to explore how they can turn on theirs as well. And gratitude is a huge piece of that.
Mm.
I don't know if it was, on this meeting or if it was somewhere else. I was talking about having a cup of grace.
Hmm.
For me, there are times when the flesh of Jeff wants to respond to, someone that is gaslighting me or mistreating me or whatever the case is. And so, what I kind of normalized for myself was, you know what, I'm going to go drink from his cup and create.
Mm.
And that's what's really gotten me to this point to be able to overcome these things. And even still, it's still not perfect. Like, I've still made some mistakes. I've still done some things that, I wish that I could undo or redo. However, you have to actually pursue healing to actually learn what it was in the past that you did that you would like to do differently. And so, I'm really, really a big fan of the work around gratitude. Thank you for all of the work that you've done just on your own. Talk a little bit, before we jump,
Mhm.
about the YoggNation Spirit of Gratitude Gala that is upcoming here on the 9th of August.
Yeah, but before that, I just wanted to follow up on what Cameron said about listening, and I want to remind everyone that at least the way that I view myself as a creator and host, I am simply the messenger. The guests, I think, are the authority figures of the message, and and the reason why I listen intently is because I'm asking these intelligent, well, hopefully semi-intelligent questions that allow them to express themselves, to express their vulnerabilities, to express their journeys, to be those amazing storytellers, Alaina, right? To have the listener feel their energy and to say, huh, this is cool. I mean, I always like to joke that, for I guess for the young adults and adolescents who listen to the podcast, if you're not going to listen to your parents, that's fine, right? I guess, and if you're married, if you don't want to listen to your spouse, that's fine. But you have 46 other individuals that can hopefully, provide that perspective in life, and it's the whole point that I really want, the end goal, right, for the listener is to feel either be inspired, to become educated, to become entertained, but more importantly, though, is discover something about yourself or rediscover something about yourself from the storytelling from my guests.
Mm.
Mhm, mhm.
And
Fantastic, fantastic.
the gala is my way to throw a party, YoggNation style.
Hey,
Yeah.
double
It's
Hey,
G's.
Is Snoop Dogg gonna be there?
no, no,
I
but I
saw
did
you want
actually.
to you want to have him on your show.
Yes, that is one of the top three guests that I
I
want.
love
But
it.
no, the gala is really inviting all my previous guests, a select group of friends and family, and to thank them for being on the podcast, believing in me, believing in the mission as we, create a movement. And this is Jeff, where I am very uncomfortable, right? This is, I always ask ChatGPT, and it always says, I call it Al, by the way, for Alfred from Batman. Um, and he says, Yogi, you're creating a movement. I'm like, yeah, a movement is something that Dr. Martin Luther King did, right? A
mhm.
movement is something that Gandhi did. I don't know if I consider myself to be
I
that.
actually can respond to that. I can
Okay.
actually respond to that as one of the only people that any of you know, and I'm going to say that most of the folks in the world, they don't know anyone that's worked with Martin Luther King. I actually do. Uh, One2Gration is in the process of working alongside of what I think is probably one of the most decorated Americans alive, Diane Nash. And she speaks directly to me about her work alongside Martin, as she calls him, which you know, I don't call him Martin. I don't know anybody that calls him Martin, but Miss Diane does. And one of the things that she's made very, very clear to me is that not only she, but even Martin, as she calls him, understood that it took a community to organize.
Mm.
It wasn't one person.
Okay.
And so what you're doing is, like you said, you're a conduit to a message, but that message that's coming out is speaking to a group that has a purpose of their own. And so what we're calling them to do is to explore that purpose, because ultimately we're supposed to work in concert with one another. And
Right.
so just like now, I mean, I know all of you all, but now we all know one another. And this concept of community and gathering together for the purposes of pursuing our own purpose, which is aligned with serving humanity. Uh, if I've never seen anyone do it this way, and we're inviting everyone else to come and join us as we, kind of pursue making sure that the challenges that we faced in the past have a solution, because that is necessary for healing. Like the whole premise of of One2Gration was really about, hey, if I don't express these feelings in some way, then this is the end of the road for me. However, if I have enough courage to express these feelings in a way that is not in vengeance, but that is in love, then I have access to be able to transmute this pain into something else. That something
Mhm.
else is whatever the desire of my heart is. And the desires of my heart is to make sure that no one else has to experience what I had to experience. I don't want anyone to be alone.
Mm.
I don't want anyone to be alone. Like, I told people that said they loved me that I needed help, and God's will was for them to overlook me. And so, was God telling me to check out? Or was he saying, I'm showing you something here, and you now have an opportunity of whether or not you're going to trust me or not? And so I'm riding with God to the
But how did
wheels
you
fall off.
internalize that, Jeff?
How did I internalize it?
Yeah.
I would say in every way. In every way, I stopped at every stop. Like, I could really let off some things. I really could let off some things at some people that would be authentic. However, it would not have any fruits associated with it. And
Mm.
so it says, God says, you will be able to know him based off of the fruits. And so for those who move without fruits, that means that they have no God included in what they're doing. And so for me, I choose to say, you know what? I'm going to make sure whenever at all possible, someone can sense some fruits from what I'm doing. So that's why I think about the larger picture rather than the individuals. Like, there's a guy, I call him Dom, the shuttle bus driver. This guy cursed me and did all of these things that I had nightmares about for a long time. I mean, Cameron could tell you, she's told me stories about things that I said and how I behaved in my sleep, um, that, I had to live through. I haven't had any of those things in quite a long time. Um, but I had to actually go through and express them out rather than keeping them in. And so, that's one of the things with my art. I'm trying to make space for people to understand that the path to healing trauma is through expression and having a voice, not by
Mhm.
cowering and not speaking, and not like being like compelled to tell the truth in love. So I don't know where I was going with that, but hopefully that landed somewhere with what we were talking about, Yogi. It's
Yeah, you mentioned fruits. Is that does that equate to results?
You know, eventually, yes.
Okay.
Eventually, yes. And so I'm a very spiritual guy. And when you get into the wilderness season that, I'm in the wilderness. I've been in, well, the wilderness was just complete and now it's the harvest season. But in the wilderness, if you go back, it's very, very hard to see the results because it's a test of faith.
Right.
And really that's why you have to like search for fruits like you're mining for diamonds.
Mm,
Okay.
Like the fruits are all that matter. The fruits that, I mean, let's look at it. I mean, there's, we can turn on the television, we can see millionaires and people with all kind of money, and they shoot all kind of basketballs and catch all kind of footballs, and they do all of this kind of stuff. But where are the fruits? The fruit there's not a fruit that is Mercedes or slam dunking. Those are not fruits.
mhm,
Those are not fruits. The way you serve, the way you love, the joy, the long suffering, the kindness, the peace. Those are the personification and the demonstration of fruits.
Okay.
You know,
Thank
for
you.
example, for example, for so long I've had, just periodically people would say, "Hey, Jeff, someone said you were crazy," and I would say, "Well, I never heard from that person."
mm,
Because if I thought someone was crazy, I would call them. I would check on them. I would make sure that there was nothing that I could do to support them. And the good news about it 5 years later is that people can go and search hashtag the techpreneur for the people, hashtag One2Gration. I can say other hashtags, but I'm actually going to show some grace and they can see my body of work. And they can read about my daily praise and demonstration around making sure that I did get all of this junk out and I put out praise. But because praise is what God responds to, like somebody else or some other spirit responds to negativity. And I'm not here to serve any other spirit than that of a high frequency and that of the one that calls me to actually follow him, even though I don't understand sometimes. So now it's become very, very clear. Um, but yeah, I mean, for me, I would say be very, very careful because the world will have you think that the proper results has something to do with money.
Right.
And that's just not the case. The proper result has everything to do with fruits. That test the fruits. That's what
Yep.
we're here to do.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So I would like, Alaina, you've been very quiet. Cameron, you've been very, very quiet. I've been talking a whole lot. So I would like for you guys to jump in. Yogi, thanks for the question. And it's 52 minutes. Uh, we said we were gonna be done by 8:30. So you guys, Cameron and Alaina, tell people about where they can find Hey Girl, where they can find you all, and all of those good things.
Well, Hey Girls, One2Gration Productions. So we can go to One2Gration. We got our, I don't know where we've got it on Instagram right now.
Instagram, YouTube, I believe, and One2Gration. If you join that community, you can see full episodes of Hey Girl
Hmm.
Okay.
anytime.
And you too, individually.
Oh, and on Instagram, you can follow me or find me at mamaste_slain.
Yeah. And I am Alaina Huffman on all platforms.
And
And
Yogi.
well, hold on, before we move on to Yogi, and I'll say the same thing after Yogi. Well, I'll say, well, if I say it now, it'll go for both. Both of these productions are looking for you out there as sponsors. And so right now, today,
Sponsors
traditionally,
and guests and or guest.
sponsors and our guests, what I would say is I don't have problems getting people as guests. And so you guys just holler at me, we can make that happen. But we also want to see people show up with sponsorship opportunities. Why is that important? Um, right now we have a a group of humanity which is 100% trapped inside of algorithms. And so what we're looking to do is not necessarily have people escape the algorithm. We're looking to build, and we are building a parallel place for people to actually connect directly with those that they share different synergies with. For example, if gratitude is your thing, Yogi's right here. And not only is he right here, he has amazing guests. John Carl, ABC political correspondent, was one of Yogi's guests. And so he has
Yeah.
these amazing guests that would allow for your brand to be seen in a way that today you're dependent upon an algorithm that you can't control to provide the exposure. And the same goes for Elena. Elena is touring the world.
Mm.
Um, Elena, we're a few stops over the next couple months, tossing
Yeah,
up.
yeah. I've got London. I'll be in London for London Film and Comic Con Expo in I think the 14th, 15th of August, and then I'll be in
Amazing.
Austin after that. Vancouver, Chicago, Philly, Brazil. I just got back from Australia, so yeah, I'm all over the world.
Take me in your backpack.
I need
Well,
a
well,
friend. We should come.
Right.
well. Elena has said to me that Saturday nights, wherever she is available for us to put "Hey Girl"
Yeah,
right into that slot. But
yeah,
it's going to take your support and sponsorships in order for us to do it.
yeah.
And so she's talked to me about the amazing transformation she's seen in the following to that's cultivated a community around her and her counterparts. And she's done this before. And so, I don't want to over talk it. I'll just say that the world is changing. Algorithms are clearly there if you want to pay into that and have a guessing game to figure out whether or not it's bots clicking on or if it's a real person or who it is that's showing up. But what we can say on this side with One2Gration and your spin and your partnership with One2Gration, we'll know exactly who it is that's showing up. And we'll
Mm.
be able to provide very, very clear call to actions.
You're muted.
Boom. This thing is, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll be able to provide really clear call to actions for the sponsorships to do some really cool activations. And so, Yogi, can you please share with everyone where they can follow,
Hmm.
subscribe, and support YoggNation?
Yeah, the handle is at YoggNation. That's on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and LinkedIn. And along with the streaming platforms, is just the base foundation is at YoggNation with two G's.
And
That's
I
where to
have
Gratitude
find
some
me.
Gangster.
Yogi, I have some podcasts that I have to watch of yours, and I wrote down the names of the people that are on there. So I need
Okay.
to finish watching the Judge Lynn Tyler podcast.
Yes.
Matthew Earl Jones,
Yep.
James Earl Jones' brother is on your podcast. Oh my
Yes.
gosh. Edward Burns, is he one?
No, I had lunch
Okay.
with him though.
Oh
And
yeah. Okay. Well, you had lunch with
that's
him,
yeah,
but
that's the
and
journey
then
that I never would
Mateo.
have expected. Right.
Mm.
Yes, because he's an actor in I forgot what movie.
Saving Private Ryan, and he's now an indie
Yes,
filmmaker. Yeah.
yes. And then Mateo Ascaraport. He's like,
Yeah, Ascaripur, he has a different take on gratitude where he says
yeah,
that gratitude could be weaponized. That's another
yeah,
Mm.
angle in the sense
yeah,
that um, it's if we're having a fictional conversation, it's like person A is telling person B, well, you should be grateful. I'm giving you only this
yes,
sandwich or this, putting you
yeah,
down, right?
yes,
And
yeah,
he exposes that.
yeah. And
Oh,
he's a New York Times best-selling author. I forgot the name of the book, but you can go out look his name up.
Yeah,
And
it's what do I have? Where is it?
but yeah, he talks about how a lot of times people like, especially like I guess workplace environments, like you can be like,
The Great Hemisphere.
yes,
Okay, the
Yeah.
great hemisphere.
Yogi, before we
That's
jump,
cool.
I
but
want to. So Cameron,
You making me look fantastic, by the way. Thank you.
I mean, I'm your wife. I always make you look fantastic. Okay.
I don't get.
Amen.
I agree. I agree. But you reminded me, Yogi. There was this John Lewis quote
And
that
then
you
we're
Yes.
had.
wrapping it up, right?
Yes, yes. But you did. This is your fault. You did ADHD, Jeff, and John Lewis. Just we just. I don't want to say celebrated, but we just recognized the 5 year anniversary of the passing of John Lewis.
Mm.
Um,
Oh,
just
really?
just
Okay.
a week ago. And
Okay.
so
God bless.
Yogi, do you remember the kind of the genesis of that quote?
No.
Okay.
I don't. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm
Uh,
not surprised because you got a bunch of stuff in there. But Yogi shared a John Lewis quote with me on our interview on our episode, which was episode like 6 or 7. So he's done like 40 since then. But I'll look it up and I'll put it in the comments. So everyone, thank you so much for watching. This
Thank
has been
you.
Tech. This has been Tech P. What's the what? One2Gration. You can go to www.one2gration.com. You can learn a bunch about what we're doing. You can go to community.one2gration.com. You can sign up for we've got various types of plans and memberships. And then if you go to our website, you can go to the business directory tab and see how you can actually jump in to be able to put your purpose or pursuit of your purpose and healing on display. Again, huge shout out and thank you to Alaina Huffman, Yogi Patel, Mr. Thorough, and founder of YoggNation. And there's no words that can describe my wonderful wife. Thank you. Until the next time, peace.
thank you,
Peace.
Jeff. It's been a blessing.
Bye.
Bye bye. Now let me just figure out how to turn this off, y'all. Hold on.
The
Uh,
long goodbye.
yeah, I know it's gonna be a long goodbye because here it is.